So this is what I'm going to try to have you do for the Slow Your Roll marble setup. So everyone's been building the marble devices to slow the marble down as much as possible between 12 inches in the table. This is going to be what you're ultimately collecting because I want to have you do some stuff with some numbers, and we'll put a few things about it. So you will be running, the goal is 50 trials. We're going to see, was this success and what time did you get? And the point of this video is to show you some of the setup of things that you might not know just by looking at the picture for how to make these things happen. Alright, so I'm going to make a new document, and this is my new document over here. And then on the left side you can see the one that I'm sort of referencing. This was sort of me just figuring it out. So at the top here I want to put a temp number. Now you see how it goes over to the other cell. If I hit enter, it's still kind of reaching over to the other cell. What you can do is if you click on it and then at the top under the home tab, you can click wrap text. It'll make it go down to the next line, which I want you to do so it looks nice. And that's also something you can do if you ever have that issue in Excel. You can change the width of the Excel by dragging it there, or the cells by dragging it there. But this is going to be good for those things that it's just a number. I don't need it to be really wide. So, and below that, I'm going to start to count. Now Excel is pretty good at figuring out what you're doing. So once I start, even at 1, 2, 3, I can just click this. Now that they're all highlighted, I'm clicking on this green dot down here. And I can drag it down and it's figured out, oh, you're trying to count, so how high do you want to go? I'm just going to go to 50, just for right now. Alright. So, success, question mark. Now for this, I'm going to have you put yes or no. Now once you put it in once, when you try to type it again, it'll ask you to autofill. And I want you to actually keep a correct record of this. And I'll make another video on how to do some of the analytics. But so success, yes, no. And if it was a success, time, how long did it take? If it was not a success, don't worry about it. You'll just put nothing for the time there. Because we don't want to have anything in this column because they're going to have you do the average of it. And if there's other stuff in there that it can't do math with, it's going to panic. Now over here, I can put that average time. Again, it goes over, and then success rate. So these kind of went over, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to do the wrap text, and it's going to make them fit very nicely. Now, average time. Again, Excel does a lot of things for you automatically. I'm going to do average, and then if I start the parentheses, it's going to ask you for my numbers. I know I'm going to be putting in times here, so I can just go down and put those all there. So I've just highlighted all the cells where a time would potentially go. I can hit enter. There's nothing there right now, so it's just freaking out. It's dividing by 0 because there's nothing there. But if I start to add numbers, it'll give me average, and it'll just update those averages as we go. Clear contents. So that'll just be on its own. Now success rate is going to be a %. Now this is going to be a little bit strange to write, and I'm going to break it down so it's easier for you to see, and I'll do some of that math on the bottom because it's going to make it hopefully easier for you to understand how this number comes about. So right now we have yes, yes, no, no, and I'm just going to copy this in a few times. Doesn't really matter. I just need some numbers here so we've got something to happen. Alright, so I've got all this stuff. Now I'm not going to have you go through and count. That's how you would do it before you learned Excel. But now you know how to use Excel. So you have superpowers. So at the bottom here, I'm going to put a space after 50, maybe a couple, and I'm just going to say success. Yes, no. Okay, so yes. So how many successes did you have? Well, I don't know. So there's going to be this function that we're going to make Excel do our counting for us. Counting is now beyond you. So it's going to be count if it contains a certain thing. So range, well, if somewhere in this range, so I can go all the way to the top, even including success, it really doesn't matter. So in that range, anywhere in there, comma, the criteria is, I'm going to put this in quotation marks, yes. And you can see it at the top of my screen that I am looking for yes. I'll close parentheses and I'll hit enter. and it just figured out, okay, there's 11. And if I do anywhere in there, if there's another yes, it'll just add automatically. We're going to do the same thing for no. Equals count if. Now the if is so that you can give it a thing that it's looking for. If you just put count, it would count everything. We don't want it to count everything. We're only going to count if it has what we're looking for. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to go to the top here again. So that's my range, which is in this area, in this stuff I am looking for, and now I'm looking for no. Close parentheses, as you can see up at the top here. So I've got, out of these, I want to count something, and I want it to be no. Okay, so I have 5 no's. Now what I am going to do, just in case you don't get to 50, because I don't like having hard numbers in my stuff too often, because if I have a hard number in there, it'll mean I have to basically match that number. So, like, let's say you ran out of time, you only got, I don't know, a certain number done, like right here I have 20 done. But I want this stuff to update automatically for me as we're going along. So I want to do down here total. And I'm just going to do a real quick sum. You could also do add this to this. It would work the same. I'm just lazy, so I just type sum. So sum those two numbers for me, please. There are 20. Okay, so now when I want to know my success rate, I need to know how many yeses out of my total do I currently have. So when I have my success rate, that's going to be equals, I'm going to put this in parentheses because I'm going to do multi-step math here. So equals, well, I need to divide my success, and you can see it's compiling here at the top. Success is yes, divided by my total. So that's going to give me a decimal though. So I want this as a percent, so I multiply it by 100. So the number of successes divided by the number of trials that have been done times 100. And then I can hit enter, and it's going to give me my percent. So you can see if I start adding in no's, that percent goes down, but it's going to do that automatically for me. Again, with these times, they'll happen automatically as you go through and do them. And you can watch those change. So this is now the information that's kind of just going to spit out my numbers for me. Now, I do want you to add something else in here. So we have average time, success rate. Let's do for time, I want to add something in the middle here. So I'm going to actually right-click this and just hit insert. So it's just going to add right in the middle. Because, and this is a good trick if you went in, you did some stuff, and you're like, oh man, I wish I put that in, but it's in between stuff. Rather than deleting and moving stuff, that right-click, insert, it'll just drop it in there. I usually forget which side, so I kind of go back and forth. Always remember with any program that you use, Control-Z is usually the undo. So let's do standard deviation. Now remember, standard deviation is going to give us a measurement of how scattered is this? How consistent is this? If this was perfectly consistent, if all of my times were 1, my standard deviation should be 0. So my standard deviation, again, we're not doing the math. You don't know how to do the math right now. I'm not going to make you do the math by hand. I just want you to understand how to spit some numbers out from Excel, not doing it longhand, but just having it done for you. So stdev dev. Oops. Just one. stdev. Okay. So standard deviation of my time. So I just want all my times. And you can select cells that are empty. That's fine. Because we'll put numbers there eventually. So I just in case you missed it, whoops. Standard deviation, stdev, C2 to C51, those are where I'm putting my times. And now I have my standard deviation. So now again, I can kind of show you, right? Let's say it took 1 second for all of them. Well, if it took 1 second for all of them, they're all 1. Standard deviation is 0. Because the average is 1, and every single one of them is 0 away from that average. So you won't be putting in times if you have a no, but I'm just using this as an example. But we can see how this will change over time. So what you'll see is if you have issues as you're going, and it starts becoming less consistent, you'll see your standard deviation going up. If as you run more trials, it's just more consistent because maybe you tweak something, you should see your standard deviation start to fall. And that's fine. So these are the 3 things we're going to use to look at our different marble sorters or marble races. Is who's got the one that takes the most time. We want to look at how consistent they are when they do run. And then we want to see how successful are they. Is it guaranteed that when I drop a marble from 1 foot off the table, it's going to come out at the bottom? So anyways, that's how you set this up. I'll try to set this up with chapters on YouTube so you can kind of follow along. Please let me know if you have any questions.